Hi, it's great to interact with all of you viewers of NDTV's YouTube channel. So on the eve of election results tomorrow, you've been sending in lots of questions on EVMs. Let me just look at some of those. Well, Prahlad Gangurde has written in from Maharashtra asking about the EVM machines and reports of its malfunctioning in Satara, that some voters said that, well, whatever button we pressed, the vote went to the lotus symbol. So NDTV's Purva has reported on that story, and what the State Election Commission has told her is that only 10 to 15 voters complained, and they said they haven't complained officially. We haven't found any evidence of these complaints being true. They've also said that less than 1% of EVMs reported any malfunctions. Those were replaced. So they said that there's no issue of widespread rigging or widespread malfunction of EVMs at all, that EVMs are safe. The opposition, meanwhile, the Congress has written asking that jammers be put outside strong rooms. The EC says no, because the machines, they say, are standalone, so they can't be affected by internet signals or they can't be rigged in any way. However, the point remains that more and more questions are coming up. The Election Commission says we've addressed this extensively, but it's only when the result comes that we'll know, well, who's happy or not. So far at least, I think on this one, we will have to give it to the Election Commission, because the Satara complaint seems to be only 10 to 15 voters who haven't filed an official complaint yet. Other questions coming in from Shashank Shirsagar saying that, don't you think EVMs can be tampered? In your honest opinion, ma'am, on exit polls, and should they be declared before polling or not? My honest opinion, no, I don't think at the moment that EVMs can be tampered. I mean, I don't think it's about my opinion, frankly. I haven't been shown evidence, strong evidence that EVMs can be tampered. If I'm shown that, I may change my mind, but as of now, I don't think we have strong enough evidence. However, I do think it's not a bad idea to perhaps scale up the checks or counter checks, perhaps within EVMs, not within EVMs, but within the election process, to make sure that opposition parties are happy, because that's the essence of democracy. If you're going to hear complaints every time, that is worrying. So I do think there is scope for more dialogue and perhaps more solutions, but I don't think that we can say with any conclusive evidence at the moment that EVMs are tampered. On the second question on exit polls, well, NDTV has actually stopped doing exit polls because we feel there is a large degree of an unreliability factor. Perhaps a better way to do it is to do an average of all exit polls, the poll of polls, as we've been doing. But I think exit polls, well, they're fun, they're interesting to watch, but as we know, results do sometimes have an uncanny knack of proving some of them wrong. Other questions coming in that were asking, why is there a low percentage of voting? Is it because people have lost faith in EVMs? No, I don't think so at all. I think low percentage of voting is often because, one, in urban areas, people don't necessarily feel that their vote makes a difference. They don't feel that issues that they care about will actually be addressed. However, I do think that's a cop-out. I mean, you can't turn around and say, oh, my city is terrible, we don't like the potholes, we don't like the roads, we don't like the air pollution, and then not vote for people who make a difference. So that is a worrying factor, that if we see voting percentage going down. Also, perhaps in this election, some analysts have called it a no-contest election. I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but people perhaps may feel that the result is already expected or predicted on predictable lines. So perhaps that's why they may have lost interest in voting as well. Doesn't seem to be a very closely contested election so far. Let's wait and see what the results show. So perhaps that's why people haven't voted. Other questions coming in, another one on low percentage voting in elections. So I've just answered that. And why don't the EC declare the results on the very next day after the voting is over? That's from Rajat. Well, the EC, and this is not new, this has been happening over years, over decades actually, leaves time for people to complain if some repolling has to be done, if there are any issues. So for instance, in Haryana today, there was repolling in 5 booths. So that's why the EC does leave this gap. Of course, this time it's only 2 state elections, but when there are many more elections, there does need to be also the question of EVMs, of security personnel being transported, etc., preparations for counting days. So I think 2 or 3 days gap is not such a big deal.